All items on floor are trash? Have fun rooting through the dumpster, by user ambitious_exam_3858. I'm a custodian for an office building. I clean bathrooms, take out trash, vacuum, etc. I clean in the morning before the office opens. When collecting trash, I'd occasionally find some loose papers under/behind desks, beside the trash can, or otherwise on the floor. Since I'm not sure if these papers are trash that missed the can or important documents that fell on the floor by accident, I pick them up and put them on the corner of the nearest desk for the workers to either file them away or toss them. Better safe than sorry. However, the manager did not like this habit. She came in early one morning, expressing disgust that trash is being placed on people's desks. Obviously, I never put actual trash like food wrappers or crumpled papers on desks. I explained my reasoning for my habit and expressed that I didn't want to risk tossing something important. My manager told me that everything on the floor is trash and the workers aren't such immature slobs to drop important documents on the floor. I agreed and said I'd never do it again. Flash forward several weeks. My manager came in early again and expressed concerns because a filing cabinet had tipped over the day, and despite picking up the papers, they were still missing a few important documents. She asked if I'd seen them. I reminded her that since everything on the floor is trash, the documents were probably thrown away. She was irate, saying but this was an exception since a filing cabinet fell over. I asked her how I was supposed to know that when I'm not there during the day and was otherwise not informed to look out for these documents. That's when the situation dawned in this woman's eyes that she was her fault. She stumbled through some excuses before demanding I go to the dumpster and find the papers. I told her that the office was opening in 15 minutes and I still had work to do. She stormed off and said she'd start looking in the dumpster. While I cleaned, I knew I'd face her again before leaving. My car is parked by the dumpster, so I thought of what to say to her as the final nail in the coffin. Sure enough, when I finished my work and walked out, the manager and a few other workers who'd arrived were rooting through the dumpster. When the manager spotted me, she demanded I come help. I delivered my prepared line, "Ma'am, my job description is to take out trash. Your job description is to ensure the safety and confidentiality of your client's files." I walked away to, in my head, a cartoonesque villain scream of outraged failure from my manager. A few hours later and I got a text saying there will now be a special inbox shelf for me to place any papers found the floor for the workers to go through. HOA President wanted heat, by user bright_media 1429. I manage a NYC condo with central A/C that, once switched to winter mode, can't go back to cooling until spring. NYC law requires heat starting October 1st, but October swings from chilly to unseasonably warm, so we usually wait for a real cold stretch before turning it on. Tenants were fine with this for years. One chilly day was better than being unbearably hot for 10. Last year, the board president lost it over a slightly chilly day towards the middle of October. She sent an email demanding we turn on the heating system immediately and that going forward, the heat must always be on by October 1st. She didn't care if other units would be uncomfortably warm and that she's the board president, and she should be comfortable in her unit. This year, we followed her orders, on October 1st heat on. At the annual meeting, tenants were furious. They wanted to know why a system that had worked for years was suddenly broken. The president started chewing me out for getting her email the previous year. Not wanting to deal with her nonsense, I got the green light from my boss to pull up her own email on the projector. Her exact words, her exact demands. She went pale and, for the first time ever, had nothing to say. She lost her position in the election. Her replacement was very happy we called her out, and we renewed our contract for 5 more years. Making them cold just seemed like the right thing to do, by user business_wolf 5599. I used to work in a retirement village with a communal restaurant/dining room. There was this awful family who, despite being only a 15-minute drive away from the village, would almost never visit their mother. We can call the mother Sam. Sam was kind. Sam's family were constantly neglecting to provide items such as clothing, and most of Sam's valuables had, in my opinion, been stolen by them. As they were the power of attorney for financial, personal, and health matters, nothing legally could be done apparently. Fast forward to a hot Australian Christmas day. The village is hosting a Christmas lunch for the old people who didn't manage to go out for the day. Families were welcome, but you had to book ahead. The invitation clearly said to bring a jumper, as the AC was very cold to cater for the constant opening of the dining room doors with guests coming and going. Naturally, Sam's family failed to book a seat and had to be accommodated last minute. Naturally, they were the only ones without a jumper. I got the privilege of finding them a place to sit, so I dressed Sam in an extra warm nice outfit and set up the table under the big main AC vent. 10 minutes later, Sam's annoyed son and daughter-in-law approached me and asked, "Can you please turn down the air conditioning, it is too cold." "Yep, no problem, I can do that," I said. And I did. I turned that AC down an extra 4 degrees, I think to 16 degrees Celsius if memory serves. Sam's family left earlier than any other family, and Sam was able to spend the rest of Christmas with people who spoke to her like she was a human being. Edit, jumper equals sweater or jersey. We also used jumper cables to warm up the old people until the Aged Care Commission decided it was a crime. IT wanted process over results. I gave them process in panic, by user all unanimous list. A couple of years ago, I got shuffled out of the business side and into IT during a reorg. The official reason was better alignment with software delivery. The real reason? I'm expensive, I don't do sales, and IT has a bigger budget. Also, and this is educated speculation, I kept not approving its builds for not meeting specs, which, apparently, makes me difficult and not solution-oriented. So now I report to the executive I had previously challenged over the quality of his team's work. Since joining IT, everything has to be a ticket. Doesn't matter if it's a question, a clarification, or divine revelation, no ticket, no work. PMS handle ticket creation and prioritization, which sounds fine in theory, except my actual job is to consult with business analysts and developers. I know more about the rules, regulations, and use cases of our software than anyone in the company, and my work doesn't easily fall into a ticket as it's more of a problem-solving role for existing tickets. Still, no ticket equals no work. Bureaucracy over brains. Clients, especially senior ones, tend to reach out to me directly because I can actually answer their questions. Normally, I'd just respond and, if needed, make a ticket afterward for tracking. But management didn't like that. After one particularly spirited discussion, over delays to close low-priority tickets in lieu of responding to high-priority client emails, my boss told me to stop responding to client emails altogether. I was to forward them to PMS, who would create, prioritize, and assign tickets. I explained, patiently, that these emails often come from executives and need quick turnaround. Boss's response? Follow the process or we won't know how overworked you are. Okay then, boss. Let's follow the process. A week later, I get an email from the CFO of one of our biggest clients asking for details about a customized build. Normally I'd get an estimate out in a couple of hours. Instead, I CC'd my boss and PM, confirmed I'd received the request, and politely asked them to create and assign a ticket. A few days later, the CFO followed up, "We need this by Friday." I replied again, CCing everyone, apologizing for the delay and asking that the assigned resource take note of the urgency. Knowing full well no one had assigned the ticket. Behind the scenes, I had already done the estimate and informed the client what was happening. Spoiler, nothing. Suddenly, my boss is frantically pinging me. "Why haven't you gotten back to the CFO?" I calmly reminded him that 1. He told me to only work on assigned tickets. 2. He was CC'd on every email. 3. He'd have to ask the PM for a status update. There was a long, delicious silence before he finally replied. "Okay, you don't need a ticket for everything. In the future, if it's from an executive, just respond and make a ticket afterward." "Sure thing, boss." Glad we cleared that up. I sent the estimate, everyone was happy, and peace was restored. And better yet, management now puts results over process. Well, the first part anyway, but peace and results? Well, that's a malicious compliance story for another day. Won't give me the card to get fuel? Enjoy the towing bill, by user Sailing Spark. I was just reminded of something that happened to me back in the early 90s. I was managing a warehouse for a furniture company. We were busy enough to keep a small 12-foot box truck and a pickup running around delivering all day. Part of my job was also deliveries. So, even though I was warehouse manager, I did not have access to the fuel credit card. It was kept locked up in the boss desk. This particular day, the truck was down to about 1/8 of a tank, something you should never do with a diesel, so I asked for the card to fill it up to make a delivery. The boss would ordinarily not have a problem with this, but he was out that day and I had to deal with the head salesman who decided that 1/8 of a tank was perfectly adequate to make this delivery. I could fill it up when I get back. So, make the delivery, and on the way back, the truck starts running out of fuel, it would die and I would restart and we could make it a mile and it would die again. I get it into the station and it dies as we coast in. Call the salesman, he huffs and puffs, and finally sends somebody out with the card about an hour later. We fill it up and she won't start. We ran her so low, we pulled air and the whole system needs to be bled. So, truck gets towed to the repair place and bled. They put in a new filter just to be sure. It's out of commission for 2 days, so we have to rent a truck. So all told, we missed all the deliveries for the rest of that day, had to pay to have the truck towed and repaired and had to rent a truck. All because the head salesman had to be a dick and not want to give me the card. He got a serious chewing out over that, and never again did he give anybody any trouble about handing over the card. I wish I could say everything was roses over that, but he was always a dick and would find new ways to be a dick to us, but never with the fuel card after that.